Dana here. So, last week I had the immense honor, nay, I dare say privilege, to attend the Game Developers Conference down in San Francisco at the Mascone Center. I have my badge right here, and I have to say, it was just such a great experience. Getting to go to the Game Developers Choice Awards, getting to see all the games, both the independent games and otherwise being showcased there, getting to go to all these seminars, was just a real treat. Speaking of that, I actually got a lot of cool stuff there. I got like some t-shirts, I got some pins for a couple of indie games here that I got the chance to play. I had the chance to play a lot of indie games, and I got to meet just a lot of fellow gamers. I got to meet game designers, game producers, the whole shebang. And of course, like, the event was huge, so I got to see, like, all sorts of different things. There were, like, booths set up, and, like, events going on. Now, unfortunately, I only had the Expo Plus pass, so there were a few seminars that I was not able to attend. Most notably, Nintendo's Splatoon 2 and ARMS seminars. That said, I did get to go to a lot of seminars focused on mobile gaming, which seemed to be a big deal. Like a lot of the mobile marketplace, if you will. That said, being able to attend the Game Developers Choice Awards, like I said earlier, really was just a great experience. Of course, I got to see Breath of the Wild pick up another Game of the Year award, which was, of course, always great. But I also got to see a lot of, like, really cool indie games. Probably my favorite was a game called Light Fingers, which is a Mario Party-esque game where you play as thieves that are looting and getting the loot back to their headquarters. And then another game called Shape of the World, which is a game where you sort of play as nature. It's this very stylized game where you sort of like manipulate like the environment surrounding you and see how they change. Getting over a bit of a cold there. But it was just a really, really neat, fun experience all around. I have some footage of my time at the Game Developers Conference, and I'd like to show it with you. So, without further ado, I think that some of the footage that I've been allowed to show will do more justice than me just sitting here talking. While it was cold in San Francisco, I had the luxury of having just a little bit of sunshine. As you can see in this day, it was a nice morning in early spring, late winter. Here I am at the Game Developers Conference at Mascone Center in San Francisco. It is pretty darn packed, as you can see. Looks like on the inside. Got a lot of neat stuff being shown off here. Morning. It was all wet outside an hour ago. Now it's all sunny and nice. I'm gonna go check out a couple of seminars. Of all the things I got to do, attending seminars on Unreal Engine, getting to see the Nividia stuff, my favorite thing that I got to do was hands down the indie game booth, where I got to play some really cool games. Enjoy the games I got to play here. Of the games I got to try out at the show, one of my favorites was Light Fingers. It's a Mario Party-esque game where you play on a big game board and you take turns looting towns and areas and running away from the guards. At points in the game, you'll even enter dungeons where you have to jump over traps and puzzles very reminiscent of Indiana Jones. Not only was the game itself really fun, but the developers were all super cool in answering questions, and were all just very nice people overall.
Games take a little longer without it, especially when people use constantly. So we just harder to get through a play session.
How long has this been in development?
Over 2 years.
Over 2 years, wow.
Who's red? I think you are. I'm red. Yes, go ahead and confirm.
The other really cool indie game I got to play was a game called Shape of the World with a very beautiful stylized art style, sort of reminiscent of games like Journey. It's a game where you sort of play as nature and manipulate the objects and world around you and see how they react to the way you affect them. Again, developers were very open in talking about the game and having discussions and questions answered. Now, what I loved about this game was just how peaceful it felt. There's no heavy fighting or anything like that. It's a very laid back sort of fun game with a beautiful art style and really, really great sound design in my opinion. As you can see, I got a pin right there.
Just got one for
You have a dash on your right button. A dash? That's a smarter.
for light fingers. This is a game I played yesterday called Juicy Realm. Sort of an action.
Juicy Realm is a fun little shooting game where plants and vegetables have taken over the world and you have to fight them. Again, it sort of reminds me a little bit of Bomberman, but again with a very stylized art style. And this is a game made out of a studio over in China. Very fun game, available on all platforms, and I might even think about checking this one out, buying it.
Fight against giant watermelons and stuff.
¿A qué hora sale? 5:30. 6. ¿Estamos en el hotel entonces?
Here we have a game called Malacca.
Another game I got to try was an action-adventure game called Malacca, which is a game that explores the history of the Chihuahua tribe in northern Mexico. I got to talk to the developer of this game, and he told me a lot about the inspirations he had behind this game. I really enjoy the stylized art style, and I know it's already out on consoles. I actually enjoyed it enough to actually purchase the game. Even though the reviews I read seemed to be a little lackluster, I can only trust reviews so far because I, for one, had quite a fun time playing this game. But I'll tell you what I think after I fully complete it myself. Still, I enjoy the time I spent with this particular game.
This is Guacamole 2, sort of a Metroidvania game where you play as wrestlers who can also turn into chickens.
The last indie game I want to talk about that I quite enjoyed was a game called Guacamole 2. Like I said, it's a Metroidvania game where you play as sumo wrestlers that can, in certain parts of the game, transform into chickens to do daring chicken feats. Get it? This is another very stylized game. This game reminded me a lot of the Rayman Legends, and thinking more on it, it also reminds me a little bit of games like Shantae or the Aladdin game for the Super Nintendo, if that makes any sense. Very colorful, stylized game, very fun, very just tongue-in-cheek and lighthearted, and just love those kinds of games myself. The other big highlight of the show for me was getting to go to a display of MAGfest, an area where they talk a lot about the history of video games. I even got to see some representative from the Video Game History Museum. I got to see things like the Virtual Boy.
It looked a lot like Tron.
As well as classic games on the Sega Genesis such as Sonic the Hedgehog, as well as games on the Super Nintendo, and really the whole shebang. It was just a real treat to get to see the history of video games covered so elegantly on this show floor, and being able to play some of these games, some of which I've played several times before, some of which I haven't had the experience to play as much before because I haven't owned the consoles. But it was still just an extremely just real treat to be able to see the history of the gaming industry before my eyes. To top everything off, I got to hear the Super Soul Brothers play jazz renditions of classic video game tunes. Now, to top the whole thing off, let's hear them play a rendition of the Zelda theme. Game Developer's Choice Award, like I said before, was just a really fun experience, and I'm so thankful that I had the chance to go this year. Some of the most enjoyable experiences were getting to play the indie games, getting to go to MAGfest and see sort of the history of the game, of video games, sort of up close, and of course going to see the Game Developer's Choice Awards. If you ever get a chance to go down to San Francisco and see this event, I would definitely recommend doing so, especially if you're interested in game design and getting into the industry. And I walked away with a lot of contacts, like a lot of people gave me the business cards, and I'm very happy about that. So, I just want to say, again, this is at every year in the mid to late winter down in San Francisco at the Mascone Center, usually in March, and it's a little expensive, to be sure. If you can ever find the means to go, though, it's definitely worth your time. And with that to say, I just want to wrap up and catch you guys later. And I hope you have a happy Easter weekend. See ya. This is the site I really came to San Francisco to see, the Golden Gate Bridge at nighttime. This is my zooming up on it as close as I possibly can. You can see it's all lit up and stuff. You can't really see the actual red color of it. You can see it a little bit on the towers. Get really close. Look how long that bridge is. That's something. Pan out a little bit. Do it again. Yes, I was here at GDC!